Hey there, folks. Welcome to the nation of Stranger in a Southern Land. I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. Today on the program, I speak with pro wrestling referee Frankie Gastineau. I feel like I got that last name right, but I'm not for sure. Now I see why everybody calls him Frankie the Ref. Frankie the Ref, as most people have probably seen on FIP, especially Shine. He's always in the background making a very interesting face at the chaos that is happening before him. And we talk about that. We talk about how he always finds a way to get himself involved in the match because really, referees are involved. And when you get a bad referee, as a wrestler, you really notice it. But when you get a good referee, you don't necessarily know it, and we kind of take that for granted. But I've never taken for granted all of the times I've been in the ring with Frankie, and it's always been a pleasure and an honor every time he referees my match. I know everything's going to go down properly, everything's going to be called down the middle, and everything is going to come off correctly because it is a dance between two people, but there's also another person involved as well. So it is very important to have a good referee in professional wrestling because, a lot of wrestling podcasts, you don't get to talk to the referees and their perspective on things. And I'm very lucky that we got to sit down and talk, and we talk about some of those things. I feel like, people kind of overlook professional wrestling referees, but they are very, very important. And I feel like after listening to this podcast, you'll kind of get a sense of that because there's a lot of little things that people don't even realize. But I definitely get and understand and appreciate. And Frankie is very good at those little things. So we get into it. You're going to know the importance of it. You won't make pro wrestling referees a big butt of your jokes anymore, hopefully, because, they are a very important part of some of the best matches you've ever seen. And Frankie has definitely been a part of some of the best moments in my career, for sure. He's definitely been in the ring for them. So very happy for him to come into the home studio and sit down and talk with me today. So can't thank him enough. But always, I can't thank the Shining Wizard Network enough, as always, for all the support they give me and giving me a platform to get out to as many earballs and iBuds. I've been messing that up and mixing them up. I've been saying, iBuds and earballs. So I've been messing that up recently. I've been trying to nail that a little bit better. But either way, maybe I need to get out to the earballs. I don't know. Maybe I need to get out to some more earballs. Maybe get some more subscribers and stuff like that. But Shining Wizard Network is working very hard on getting me out to as many people as possible, and I can't thank them enough. So to support them, make sure you log on and support them at shiningwizardsnetwork.com. Also, big thank you to my producer, Don, over at dsct.tv. He also produces another podcast that I do called How Did This Get Booked that I do with Zane Riley, where we watch subpar professional wrestling with a non-wrestling fan. Also, Don's got several other podcasts you should go check out over at dsct.tv. Thank you very much, Don. I appreciate you as always. And also, I appreciate you guys as always coming out to the shows and the performances, the comedy shows that I got coming up. So thank you for that. But I'm going to give you just a few dates because I really want to get into this conversation with Frankie. I don't want to make too much of a delay. And like I said, I just want to give you some of the big ones coming up. Most notably, Saturday, October the 22nd, I will be wrestling for PWX in Hickory, North Carolina. For more information about that show, make sure you log on to pwxpro.com. Now, Monday, October the 24th, I will be at Monstrous Comedy at the Station in Plaza Midwood in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, I usually am always there every Monday anyways, but this one's a very special one. I will be running my feature set. This will be my, one of few attempts at doing it 20 plus minutes. So we're going to see if I can sink or swim. If you want to see me sink, come on over. If you want to see me swim a mile or two, come on over. Let's see what happens. I don't know how it's going to go. I've got some ideas how it might go. I've been working very hard and trying to collect as many minutes as possible, but we're just going to kind of throw everything at it, and it's going to be happening Monday, October the 24th at the Station in Plaza Midwood for Monstrous Comedy. And for more information about that, you can look up Monstrous Comedy on Facebook.com. Well, Friday, October the 28th, I'll be wrestling for Pro Wrestling Revolver in Clive, Iowa. I'm very excited to make it all the way back to my home state of Iowa. Very excited about that trip and very excited about the match. I'll be taking on Jessica Havoc in an intergender match. So bring it, Jessica. You've been beating up Frankie the Ref, my guest here on this podcast several times. So I got to stick up for Frankie. So let's see what you got, girl. And we're going to see what happens Friday, October the 28th at the Pro Wrestling Revolver. For more information about that show, make sure you log into ProWrestlingRevolver.com. Then also to Saturday, October the 29th, I'll be wrestling for Funky Monkey Wrestling. Not sure on the town, but I think you can just look up Funky Monkey Wrestling online. It's for my old buddy Bobby Houston, who I started with at highspots.com. I'm very excited about that show and be performing for him. It'll be in the upper central part of Illinois. I'm not exactly sure on the town yet. I'll have to look that up. I've got a lot of miles I got to travel before I get there, guys. I'll figure it out when I get close. But anyways, as always, don't forget about the All Organic Open Mic November the 8th, which is election night, Tuesday, November the 8th, election day. And when I was thinking of who I should book as my feature performer for that night, and I was like, you know what, the one comedian I want to hear election night this year after this election cycle is Tom Simmons. Guys, you get to see Tom Simmons for only $3 on election night. I would pay a heck of a lot more to see him on election night, because no matter what happens, no matter if you're a donkey or an elephant, the one voice you want to hear on election night, no matter how it goes down, is Tom Simmons. I promise you that. So make sure you show up to the Evening Muse election night, November the 8th. Show starts at 8:30. Make sure you come out to see Tom Simmons at the Evening Muse. For more information about that show, make sure you log in to eveningmuse.com. Now, as always, make sure you follow me on social media. I'm very active on social media. I am available on Twitter at ManScoutManning or on Instagram at ManScoutManning. If you have a question about the podcast, or if you want to become a sponsor of this podcast, make sure you email me at ManScoutManning at, you can email me at ManScoutManning or Jake at sslshow.com. Sorry, I'm trying to do as many intros as I possibly can. It's all melting together. You know what? Just tweet me, email me. I'm very active. If you could find, and I'm not hard to find, just Google me. Maybe I should just make it simple. Maybe I should just make this intro as simple as possible. Just Google me. Something will come up. I might even check my MySpace when you email me. Who knows? I might still have message alerts when you email me on MySpace. I don't know. I'm very easy to find, guys. It's not hard. So, and just, if you're wondering hey, I need a good laugh. What's ManScout doing? Just Google me. Something will come up. Or some YouTube link where I'm doing something dumb that'll make you laugh. So just Google me or follow me on Twitter at ManScoutManning or email me at manscoutmanning@yahoo.com or Jake at sslshow.com. Those are probably the preferred channels. I should keep this intro as professional as possible, but we've already gone off the rails, but it doesn't matter anyways. It's done, it's over with, and let's jump into this wonderful conversation with Frankie the Ref here on Stranger in the Southern Land. Or is it Frankie Gastineau? Or is Gastineau? I don't know, but he's on the podcast. Just listen. I have a feeling how this is going to go down. So hopefully when we tell stories, we give the background information, the characters involved.
Because it's going to be super random.
It's going to be super random, and it's just going to be all stories of stuff. And hopefully people understand the context of everything. Because we were talking about, when we first saw each other, FIP, I have a feeling this is going to be a lot of stories of weird stuff happening.
Are people going to like this?
I think they're going to like it. It's all about, screw everybody else. As long as we like it, I guess.
This is your show.
I'm
just here.
Hopefully when people see me having a good time, which would be completely out of context for me most of the time.
Pretty much, it's me too.
Yeah, so obviously they would be pretty entertained by that. I've never seen Jake do this. He must be. It's a great dramatic performance. He was able to pull off some humanity.
Do you think that like-minded mentality, that's what we found each other that way? Because I know you interviewed Kennedy, and that's sort of the same thing. Is we're kind of the awkward kid in the corner that doesn't quite feel like.
Well, everybody that likes wrestling was always the awkward kid in the corner at some point in time. It just we all are now in the same room together. You know what I'm saying?
It's such a weird thing though, because I always reference never having really been athletic, and I was the kid that got beat up and stuff. So the fact that I can be in this room and coordinate with these like jock guys that have that alpha mentality. It's always been funny to me that we bond because I'm like, man, you probably beat me up like 20 years ago.
But at the same time too, when you take a ref bump, it all comes back around.
Oh, it's my thing. Yeah, it's completely like I did several of them. It's become my thing.
Yeah,
I guess for better or worse.
That's what I love. That's so funny about that story. Jocks used to beat me up, but you're a professional wrestling referee and you get beat up all the time.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. I sent out a tweet earlier that Nicole Savoy actually powerbombed Sue Young on me. I don't know when this is going to air, but it was Queens of Combat 14, I believe.
It'll probably be just getting out, or it would have been out for a week. Depends on how fast I get to this and that. So
this guy does everything. Yeah, no spoilers, but yeah, that was one of the more ridiculous things I've ever done.
I'm sure it'll be on the preview.
I've been, especially with Sue, like because we have Shine down in Florida, and there's been so many. Her stuff is like what she's developed and morphed into her character is so interesting to me because she was doing like the babyface thing and it was great, but then like this transformation into this like creature she's become is so interesting.
Oh, it's so great.
And
I'm
like I love horror movies and I'm into like theater, so like working with her is so much fun because creatively it gives you something to do as opposed to just like historically the ref's in the background and you come in and do your thing, but like there's so many times where like you can throw in facial expressions or other little like I don't know if nuance is the right word.
Her thing needs a good ref.
Yeah.
Like hers, because somebody has to sell that this is scary because the person she's wrestling has to be toe to toe, knuckle up, butt up against it. Absolutely. And if you don't have somebody that's like, I'm really kind of scared of this individual, she then loses her edge a little bit. That's the whole thing of this, and the importance of a good referee is to put over that I'm scared of this. And even her opponent can be a little bit weirded out by it, but when you get going, if you're not still selling it as this is a scary individual, people forget that. It
was pretty funny. Like I've always like we've already referenced the bumping is like I said, I was a theater kid, so to me like even like growing up and watching wrestling, I was always intrigued by guys that were more character. Like the 80s had a million fantastic characters, but if you watch like the type of wrestling compared to now, where everyone's doing a million things, they didn't do a whole lot, but they got over on characters. So like if you can do anything to assist somebody or help somebody as far as like in that match, if anyone sees me making like I'm afraid, a scared face in the match, if that entertains somebody, then it's helping her. And I feel like I've learned that my job is to make their lives a little bit easier. So
and you're willing to put them over as to try to get yourself over.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how mad I get at referees when I'm doing my shtick.
Yeah,
just take it a little bit, get hands up, and I do the whole book, they'll pull the hair, all that stuff, and then they try and say something smart. Like they're trying to get themselves over. But the thing is, they say it so low that the crowd can't hear. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Get over on me, motherfucker? Yeah. Like,
this isn't about you, man.
This isn't
about you.
Just put your hands up and be like, hey, sorry.
You ain't throwing yourself at the ground. This ain't about you. No, absolutely. Yeah, there's been a couple that I've seen. It's just like, it's a fine line because obviously when everyone starts and you're super new and you're there's a kid down in Florida I'm helping. He's a J Lethal student and he's just I've had him refereeing on Shine. He's like 5'4", so it's assisting for the other girls because he makes them appear larger, like the Jessica Havocks and Kennedys of the world. But his facial expression the whole time, and I have to assume it's just nerves because if I go back to 2005, I'm sure I was horrendous. But he's just like. And it's a growing process, but it's been fun for me to try to help him where I'm like, he'll see me doing things in matches that like we just discussed, little things like being scared, or I've been in every Jessica Havoc match for the last 2 years. So she'll, in the middle of her comeback, she'll be like, and I'll just be like in the background just because it's another thing. Like I've always viewed wrestling as a variety show, and knowing your place as the official is a really weird thing to pick up because when I started, there were only a few people. I was only doing shows in Florida for the first couple of years, but a lot of people are protective of spots because for referees there's really not that many. Like you need 2 on each show, so like I feel like a lot of people didn't necessarily try to help me, so helping him out as far as that is fantastic. And we did a sequence a couple shines ago where it was like I took a back elbow, the one ref got speared, and then we sent him out there because he's so small. So it's Vanessa Craven and Jessica Havoc are having this big standoff, and we send out the ref that's 5'3", and he pushes him and he's like, guys, stop. And the crowd just kind of gets quiet, and you hear like, "Oh, he's gonna die," and they just murdered him, and it was so good. And he got in the back. He's like, "Thanks for doing that." Like he understood. It was done on purpose. Like I'm like, all right, we need to. there should be a little bit of comedy in what's going on here.
Yeah.
Like that half a second
a
of
little bit of levity here, and the
Yeah.
thing is, at the same time, once you murder him, we're back into where we were before, and that's what's fun about pro wrestling.
It's like I always loved Bobby Heenan, like growing up as a kid, like early 90s wrestling and stuff, but like he was like the greatest heel, but like no one ever actually hated him. Because there was always throwing something that would cork and pop you, even though he was trying to be like super serious and stuff.
When
so
I do
like,
my How Did This Get Booked podcast,
Yes.
and the non-wrestling fan came on, and Bobby Heenan was the commentator. She'd never seen pro wrestling before,
Right.
but she listened to Bobby Heenan's commentary. She's like, he's the best. She's like, I love this man. She goes, I will marry this man. Like,
he was so clever and so
so good.
quick-witted and good for his time. And yeah, so I've always like thought adding a little bit of comedy. I was actually on the car ride up here. I was talking about you were doing the fire log thing.
Yes,
for
I
a
was
while.
gonna get to that was a Gabe idea. I feel like Gabe like kind of understood what the Man Scout thing was, but you know what? It was a lot of I was going through a lot of personal stuff at that time. I was waiting probably through alcoholism, depression.
Right.
I just got out of a really bad relationship, and like here I'm getting my big shot to display myself in front of a very large audience of Evolve, and I am emotionally just fucking just awful and dead inside.
Absolutely.
But like the little bit that he did give me, I was very thankful for, and he came up with this one idea to set the campfire.
Yeah.
And you in the back, and it's just like what you said.
Yeah.
You selling what's going on here is something unusual.
My contact photo in my phone of you is it's you setting up the logs, and I'm in the background just like
Yeah, like because he wanted me to set up a campfire.
Yeah.
And especially when it built to like Masada, like basically destroying me and
Yeah.
kicking over my campfire the next day. Which I really actually had to politic for him not to like take one of the logs and shove it in my fucking forehead. Like that was a concern.
We don't have the skewers, but we have this log.
Yeah, I was like, maybe we don't do that. But the idea of you coming around, like I was gonna say that you were very smart because I see the pictures from Shine. You're aware of where the cameras are in those situations, and I'm going to make a face and I'm going to make a reaction, and then you become just as important as those people, other people in the picture. You're in the background, but you're adding a reaction and an emotion to that, which a lot of referees don't understand. And as you know, myself being a ringside camera guy, I can't tell you how much I hate filming a referee's butt.
They're like walking in front of you and stuff.
like and last night, like I feel like you and me, even as a ringside camera guy and a referee, which a lot of things that people don't think about in professional wrestling, but it's very important. The idea that you and I even have a chemistry together. Yeah. I remember there being a moment, I believe in the main event, and I was kind of all over the place, and I couldn't just be in one place so you would know where I was at. I'm like, in the middle of it, I'm like, man, I feel bad for Frankie because he's got to keep track on where I am. Right. But then there was a moment where I was like, he was drifting, and I was like, oh, I hope he understands because I'm over here now. Yeah. And I felt you take one step and then recognize where I was and then walk away. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, we got some chemistry together that way.
Yeah. I've been very lucky. Like I've been with WWN since the first show I ever did was December of 2014, and I want to say like January or February of 2015. I saw an FIP flyer somewhere, and there was a show in Tampa, and it's like 2 hours from my house, and it had like CM Punk and Jamie Noble, and I'm like, oh, this is like because I'd followed Ring of Honor. So to me, this is like, oh my gosh, this is in Florida, because Florida was like at the time was like the southern indie stuff, the guys wearing pink and all the sorts of like the simple throwaway stuff. Like
I'm a heel because I wear pink.
Yeah,
I got blonde hair now. I'm a heel.
You gotta have a fat guy in trunks who thinks he's good looking, and then there's like his the whole deal. It was just
you gotta have a hillbilly wrestling on the show.
Yeah, there was. His name was Moonshine McCoy. He was my buddy. But it was like the style that was like the Northeast style hadn't made its way to Florida yet. So the fact that the show was 2 hours from my house was like the most enchanting thing. I'm like, oh my God, I need to be here. And I ended up meeting Sal, who's been like my wrestling dad for the last 11 years. And it was like, I'll set up the ring. I'll just do anything. Because my start was that a buddy I went to high school with found a school in Jacksonville to train, and it was terrible. He's like, just come up like one day a week and whatever. So we're in like this boxing ring in the back of like this fight club in the bad side of Jacksonville, and I'm scared out of my mind and giving this guy all this money. And it was pretty funny though, because we did like 4 months, and the first month like they wouldn't let us touch the ring. So we were learning how to bump on like a roll mat on the floor, and it was like the worst thing in the world, but I'm like, oh, this is so cool, whatever. So by the time, I go off on tangents. When I found FIP, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, because like, I think Jamie Noble had already had his run on TV and came off again, and I knew who CM Punk was from like Ring of Honor and just IWA Mid-South, and I was that kid that was like trying to find out what everything was. So it was so cool that I've been lucky that Sal's production is so good, it's 2 or 3, sometimes 4 cameras. So you learn like the horseshoe effect of like where stuff is. And my buddy Puente has been the camera guy the whole time. So like him and I are always good as far as finding each other and knowing that sort of thing. So that's one thing that I'm trying to help my buddy Alex with, the ref I was telling you about, is like just knowing placement. Because I've talked to WB a few times, and the first couple of things were like, you need to slow down, because I was like frantic. I need to run back and forth like I'm crazy. And now like I just loom back and forward, and I've never been more busy in my life. And it's amazing. It's a learning process, but it's amazing. But yeah, with the cameras, I'm always looking for you guys. It's
yeah,
so
like that was the thing. Like 2 nights ago, I was like, oh, because I was all over because I was the only ringside guy.
Yeah.
Like normally I'd have a little more coverage, but they were all over the place, and I was all over the place trying to get everything.
Right.
And it was just weird. Like you sensed where I was, and I was definitely not in that place 30 seconds ago, and nor was I there even earlier.
Right.
So you would have no inclination that I'd ever wander over there. But like I just felt you sense and then walk back. I'm like, oh, thank God.
That's so cool.
Thank God we have Frankie here. You know what I'm saying?
No, thank you guys for bringing me here. It's a really awkward. There's so many shows everywhere, and you pick and choose what you do. But like, I love how like the world works, where like between you and Josie, who like when you guys were just coming down for shots, like I said, we all just gravitate towards each other. You find the people that you love, and it's cool how life works out that you guys have given me the opportunity to come up here, because it's so much. It's good for me. Change of scenery, traveling's the best. Like that's the best thing that's come out of wrestling, is like I've seen a million places. And that's such a great opportunity for somebody that just wanted to like be in wrestling, and
Well, we're glad to have you, because like for a long time it was like we had like bad finish after bad finish. like that was the thing. Like Friday night show, the houses were a little down.
Yeah.
But like good crowd, very loud,
absolutely.
very vocal crowd. But like the fact that we didn't have a music cue mess up, we didn't have an error with the referee in the finish. Obviously made it a above average Queens of Combat show from our
people
past.
are gonna love it. I can't wait till you guys have it.
But
out.
like that, but that's the thing, is like the idea that like very early Queens of Combat shows, you see how important a ref is. We've gone through a couple of them. I'm definitely not singling anybody out whatsoever, because it has been run the gauntlet of like bad finishes after bad finishes, and like the fact that like we don't have to worry about that with you is very nice, because it was always something would go on. So like the fact that I don't have to worry about that anymore, I just have to worry to make sure we have the music situated.
Right.
Like that seems to be the only thing we usually constantly have issues with.
I love that though, because like as long as I've known you, you're always the guy that's running around doing a million things. So I've always tried to make myself. And this is a tip for people out there. Like if you are a young guy trying to get on shows, and you're still early on, like you should be a workhorse on everything. There's nothing that isn't in your job criteria. Like help with the ring, help the guys, help the thing, because like I honestly think that helped me out in the long run, because like I said, I started doing like ring crew in 2005, but I don't think I was on an FIP show till like 2009. But enough people came through and saw me like busting my ass and getting people cokes and running jackets and doing whatever I could. And I think honestly in the long run that helps, because a lot of people have always been very gracious with me. And I think that's helped me along as far as like my progression and getting on shows and whatever. It's just like be human with people, be nice with people, be like you and I were running around until bell time on Friday, but like you said, everything worked out. It was fantastic. Small audience, great show. And I think if more people are willing to be a team player more so than just being talent, I think it helps everybody, because you guys have such an amazing positive locker room. Like Kennedy and I were talking about that on the car ride home last night, was like how like this show could be in Florida and I would still have so much fun, because like I like being around you, and Josie is like so encouraging. Like we always say she's like everyone's wrestling mom, because like it's entertainment's a weird thing where I feel like it grabs a certain type of personality. Like I feel like people that want to perform, there's got to be something lacking in there at some point. Like I feel like people that garner or that search out attention, maybe there's like a reason for it. So like a lot of us get down on each other sometimes. Like I did a show a couple weeks ago that wasn't great, and I was just kind of like whatever. But then I knew I was coming here, and she called me out on Friday. She's like, "Are you okay? Because you don't look happy." And I was just stressed. I wasn't feeling it a little bit, But then we go out there and you forget it all, and it's great. But it's good to have someone like that. And same thing with you, is like we've always been super human with each other. I think our conversations are never really about wrestling, but just that you can have someone that brings up your spirits. It makes what you do easier. It makes the show better. And like I said, I really love coming here because it's such a positive atmosphere. Same thing with Shine. Shine's closer to me, so it's kind of like it's a local show. It's a super big deal, and I love it. But like I think I think because it's closer, it doesn't quite feel like such a huge thing. Where like I love coming here, and Kennedy's mom lets us stay at her house, and it's amazing, and she feeds us, and that's also good too. It's good to have a nice place to stay on the Indies, because sometimes you just end up on people's couches or sleeping on the floor.
Or just Sal's like apartment that he rent out for everybody.
Sal's little townhouse thing he bought, yeah. He's like, oh, just, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, Tom's there.
I miss Tom so much.
Oh, how long did it take for us to bring up Tom?
I love Tom.
About 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes to find. I'm doing a show in a couple months in New Jersey, and I know he moved back there. And my goal of this show is just to try to find him, because he moved out of Florida like a year. I'm terrible at time, but a year or two ago.
Yeah, but to give context to everybody that's listening, like Tom, like was like helped out a lot with like FIP, the Dragon Gate shows. He was always there for
did
Sal.
All the drives on the ring crew all the time. Never slept.
He was like Sal's like right hand man. He was living in this apartment, and like Sal could like call him at like 4 a.m. to go do this, or call him.
Tom, get over here.
Yeah, like he would watch the merch table.
Yeah,
such a nice guy,
and an amazing character. Like just
he was like a character in a sitcom.
Yeah, no,
he was like that lovable character that wasn't like all that bright, but everything always worked out well because he was that way. Like,
if this was a Seinfeld episode, he lived in the same hallway.
Yeah, I was just watching Seinfeld this morning, and when I was thinking that we were going to talk, and I was thinking, like, gosh, like Tom definitely would have been in a character in a Seinfeld episode. It would have
been Newman, Kramer, and Tom.
Yeah, for sure.
A really sweet person too, like just a good heart. The first show after he had moved back to Jersey, it was like you felt it kind of go down a little bit, because like we both live in Florida, but I would only see him on shows, so 6 or 8 days a month. But like he just had such a presence that like you could be having the worst day, and he would just say something stupid, and you're like, man.
He was always good for something like that. Like, oh, why did he say that? And like he would always like say, hey, Tom's happy.
Tom's happy.
Yeah. And the thing I love about him, my favorite memory of him, is when we had like these clocks that were basically like the belts like WWE had.
Yeah.
And we had one of the WWE like John Cena spinner belts.
Yeah,
and of course he was a huge fan of John Cena.
Yeah.
And I had one of the clocks, and like he goes, hey, can you bring one of those clocks down? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I brought it down, and I gave it to him, and of course he paid me money for it.
Right.
But I think I might have took $5 off.
Right.
I was like, because he got up with me ahead of time,
Yeah.
told me to bring it down. I wouldn't have brought it down unless he told me to.
Absolutely.
So it was a guaranteed sale. So I took $5. Here you go, and he paid me the money. He goes, oh, thank you, and he hugged me. And I was like, if I got a hug every time I got like sold something, like, it would have just been weird. But like, it's like you almost paid full price for this, but like you still felt like, so like I did you this most solid favor ever when I was already bringing all of this other merchandise
Absolutely.
down. But he's like, oh, thank you so much. It's like, I didn't save your dog.
What's fun, until he moved, it was actually on the wall in his room.
Yeah.
Because I would usually go to Tampa a day early and stay a day late, and we would just hang out and watch like All Japan and all this other stuff. But yeah, it was so funny that you mentioned that, because I remember it being on his wall, and I thought that was pretty sweet. Yeah, dude, he was literally his own character. He started training towards the end before he moved, and I think he had like a match or two, and it might have been an FIP. For some reason, I was like, you need to ref my match, because we had been married for like 5 years at that point. So I'm like, this is going to be so much fun for both of us, because working with your friends is like the best. And I don't remember how it got switched. For some reason, it wasn't. I don't think I was the ref. But he might have had a match or two, and then he moved back to New Jersey, and he wanted to continue training, and I was trying to plug him in with Gulak, because he could drive to Philly. It's like an hour or two from where he stays. And I thought that'd be a good thing. But I know he loves wrestling, because he's like my memory is the worst, but like I remember things every now and then, but like Tom is like a detail guy. Like, this match happened in All Japan in '94, and I'm just like, how?
Yeah, he was kind of like a savant.
Yeah.
At some things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you talked to him a little bit, I'm like, I don't know so much about this, but he would say something like, whoa, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
No, that just added to his character and how awesome he was.
There was a Trevin who does everything at WWN and helps out with FIP a lot. I ride with him a lot because he lives pretty close to my house. So it's funny because my short-term memory is the absolute worst. Like 5 minutes later, I have no idea what I did or said. But like there was a match, and Trevin and I were talking about it, and I called like the last 10 spots of the match. And it was like, it was this, and then dropped down, and then boom, 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 and the whole thing. He's like, how do you remember that, but you lost your keys yesterday? I'm like, I have no idea. So I think wrestling, as far as the savant thing, I think there's something to that, because it's so weird to me that, like I said, Tom was just jolly and gully, but like he literally would remember these crazy things. So like,
well, that's what I see a lot. There's because like I was looking at somebody today, well, not today, but yesterday, and obviously, like, they were not a very smart individual when I was talking to them.
Yeah.
Like, part of something that I like about doing stand-up comedy now is, like, I'm talking to people that are wordsmiths. They careful with the words and they craft things. So conversation with them is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Where sometimes with pro wrestling, you get a lot of meatheads and a lot of it, and also young kids that haven't really seen the world yet. Especially that's what I'm running into a lot now. And I saw one of those young kids that it's just like, the wind is literally blowing through your eardrums right now. I can hear it. I can hear it. I can see it. But then, like, he got in the ring and he did all of this stuff, and like, it's all stuff that I would have had a hard time remembering, coming up with, and it's just like, how did all of that come easy for you? You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like that's like an athleticism thing? Because
and also too, like, I was watching an NFL, not NFL, but College Game Day.
Yeah.
And they were interviewing the Louisville, like, quarterback, who's, like, he's doing a fantastic job this year and having a really good season. But when they sat down and interviewed him, I'm like, how are you a quarterback? Because, like, he just answering simple questions, and he's like, I don't know, man. I was like, well, maybe he's not personable. But then, like, they were asking, like, just simple stuff about. I was like, oh man, like, you don't seem. But then they got into football, and was like, all right, well, I got to do this check read, and then, like, what? Like, start talking, like, different languages of, like, talking like what reads he makes on a play, and I'm like, how does that become so smart for you?
It's got to just be a thing. Like,
it's got to be something the thing you gravitate towards.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because I don't gravitate towards, like, a lot of things, like, you know, probably the English language, science, math.
Right.
Like, I still have to use the calculator for just about the simplest of math. But when it comes down to, like, what we should do and lay something out, it's like, I guess kind of that's what it is. It's whatever, fires the synapses in our brain.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I talked about when I started doing shows and I was training, I got into a car accident like 3 months after I started training, and I fractured my skull, and yeah, it was a thing. And so I was like 4 months, I couldn't do anything. And it was like the most depressing thing, because you're like, ooh, I want to do this wrestling thing and whatever. But like, the kid I was living with at the time was the one that we were both training. And it was funny because, like, they started giving you these warning signs, because it's terrible. Like, it's obviously you fracture your skull, it's awful, but like, brain injuries are really strange. You know, like, this could be this, but it might be that, and this could be this, and it might be that. But like,
and it's different for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's this might happen, this might not. But because we were sharing this one bedroom apartment at the time, and it was funny that like I made a joke about my short term. Is like, it's always been that way, so I don't blame the accident or anything. But like, he would joke with me about things. He'd tell me I did stuff, but I didn't do them, or like that, and I'm like, oh my god, no, I'm gonna forget everything for the rest of my life. So yeah, that was, but like, it was funny that like I thought wrestling was like a really good idea after like I just cracked my skull. So when I forget stuff now, people are like, do you think it was the accident? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm really just forgetful. It's my mom's side of the family. She's got I have 3 brothers, and she is in her mid 50s at this point, but like, she'll like name off at least one of the other ones before she gets our name right. Like, damn it, Ryan, shot. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to be the forgetful old guy?
Yeah, that's always the worry. And that's the thing too. My grandma has been saying for years that she's the forgetful grandma, but like, it wasn't until like probably this year that we've like seen big significant issues with it. Like, if I call her on the phone, I have to remind her several times that this is who she talked to. But up until like maybe a year ago, she would forget stuff every once in a while. But she was 90. You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
so
that's
like,
amazing though.
So yeah, I was like, you're 90 and you're still fairly sharp, okay? Like, now in the last year, I've finally seen a significant diminish.
Right.
But like, whatever little diminish that you thought you had was like, for being 90 years old, you have 90 years of information crammed in your brain. You're going to forget something. And you have like a million grandkids, okay? So if you call me by the wrong one and then immediately go, oh, that's not it, and then go on this tirade about how you're losing your mind, So like,
yeah, that's amazing though. Like 90 years, that's like that's like an unfathomable thing. Like, just to think that, like, there's another 60 years ahead of where we're at right now. Like, that's insane. That's insane to me,
Like, we're only a third of the way through.
Guys, you got another 60 years. Let's go. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, that's just the weird thing about it is time.
Life's like in January it'll be, where are we at? I'll say officially 11 years because I didn't really work very solid. Like the first year of the business, you don't really do a whole lot.
No.
In my experience, you pick up shows when you can, but you don't really get like what the system is or networking, which is so important and all the other stuff. So I'll say 11 years, and it's like
you still kind of have a regular life then.
At the time?
Yeah, like a year in, you kind of are still living a regular life, but it's slowly.
It's the hermit process. Like I live in Daytona, so it's like an hour from Orlando. But like with everyone getting signed up, so many of my friends live in Orlando, and it's like it's kind of like the idea of moving has been in my head for the last couple months, just because these are like the people that I love. And but like so when I don't have shows, and I'm sure you've had this, you have that moment of like, I don't have any real friends in the world that like want to hang out, or you get the heat of like, hey man, let's hang out. It's like, well, you haven't hit me up in 2 years. So like, I'm like, oh, well, I was doing this wrestling thing over here, but like, so yeah, definitely. Like, I feel like that. The hermit process.
And you just feel
real.
Comfortable in it. Cause like, I don't want to impose.
And
cause like, I haven't talked to this person in 2 years, and it seems like, are we really even cool like that? Like I have that weird problem that I'm dealing with right now with comedy, because everybody likes to hang out and go afterwards, but like I got to hurry up and get to my wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
And my wrestling stuff, like I don't have time for you guys to do this comedy stuff. So now I've become more of a hermit than I ever have before.
Because you're always moving.
Yeah, I'm always moving, so I have no friends. And it is that situation. Like I always think back to the movie The Wrestler, where he doesn't have a show that Saturday night, and how he handles that. Yeah, he just ends up going to an indie show and hangs out with somebody and does a bunch of drugs. So like, it's just that idea of like that weirdness of like, what do I do? Like it's 8:00 on a Saturday. I'm supposed to be somewhere.
You're counting minutes. You're like, okay, well. It's so strange. Yeah, it's so strange. I think it's the best thing though, because I feel like wrestling, like we talked about earlier with the jock thing, is wrestling brings so many like-minded people to the same room that like you can't have that sort of relationship with the average person that you know from like your day job or someone that you met, you know, because you don't have that like internal love for like one thing. Like wrestling brings so many different people from everywhere, but like the common thing is that we love this wrestling thing and we get it, and it's like our meeting of like getting along. And to me, like some of my best friends are from wrestling. Like Kennedy and I have been driving together for the last year or so. My buddy Jason Cade, I found him on a show in front of like 20 people, and he was having awesome matches, but like no one was really seeing it. So I was like, hey, let's just ride together. And now he's doing amazing things. He was on PWX yesterday. Like he's killing it. So like, it's cool that you can find people that your backgrounds have nothing in common except for this weird wrestling thing. So to me, that's always been like a really amazing thing that it allows us all to bring together. But most people in your normal life are never going to get it.
Yeah.
Are never going to get it.
The funny thing is that there's a fun story. At one time, it was like me, Caleb, Cedric, Mike Lee, who's Vietnamese, and then somebody else who was kind of a doughier looking guy that was with us. And we're all in a car. We're going to a show in like the Asheville area on a Sunday afternoon show. We're going up there, and of course I was going fast. I get pulled over. The lady pulls us over, takes one look in, like runs my license, and then I started taking like a really long time. Then all of a sudden another cop rolled up.
Oh no!
And I was like, what the fuck? And then like both cops walked up. And they were on both sides. And she gave me like her license. She goes, what are you doing up this way? And I go, well, we got a wrestling show. Because normally I kayfabe that, which I'm glad I didn't this time. And I just told the truth.
True.
Because at the same time, too, I only knew I was going a couple miles over anyway. So I was like, I was maybe going like, 10 over. So like she could have given me a break or whatever, but they were just looking for people that day. Yeah. And like I think we were driving the High Spots vehicle, which is obviously a nice excursion through the mountains, and there's a bunch of us. And she goes, and I said, we're going to a wrestling show. And she goes, oh, okay. She goes, let me just say that none of you guys look like you belong together. There's no reason that you guys should be in a car together. That's why I was like, I guess that makes sense. I just wanted an explanation on that. Try and keep your speed down, have a good day. But just the idea that she was just like, she thought something nefarious was going on, that all of these nationalities, these different people of different looks and body types,
some sort of human trafficking.
Some sort of human trafficking. Like just the idea, like something nefarious.
Are you guys
must have been going on? Yeah. But the thing is, we had no instruments, so they couldn't even say that.
Yeah.
So it's just like all we have is these bags. So it's like, what is necessarily going on within? She goes, "There's no reason that any of you guys would be in a car together." Like that line always sticks with me today when I think about pro wrestlers.
How judgmental.
Yeah.
That's the best. I have a Sal story where we were driving to New York a couple of years ago, and he's going, and the I want to say tail light, but I know it's the wrong one. You know, above like the license plate, there's like the light that lights up your license plate. Like that's the thing. So apparently this was out, so we get pulled over, and I love Sal to death. I want to preface this, but like he's kind of explosive at times. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting there and we're like half asleep in this 10-passenger van, and the guy's like, "I need your license." He's like, "Rrr." So the cop walks back to his car, and then you hear the radio going off, and then like the cop car just speeds off. Like just starts 90 miles down the road. So apparently at some point a high-speed chase had begun, and this guy was like called in to be a part of this, but he still has Sal's wallet and his information and stuff. And Sal's like, "Can we swear on this thing?"
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Sal's like, so let's see, he said Sal's like intimidating. He looks back and goes, "What the fuck do I even do? He's got my license." And we're like, we're all just like in our chairs frozen, like, oh gosh, we don't want to get fired. So we just start following the fucking cop car. So the cop car is going like 80, and we're in this 10-passenger van going like 75. We're right behind the guy. He's like, "He's got my fucking license. Like, why does this just happen?" And we're like, "Oh no, this is the worst thing ever." So like literally the cop pulls over, gives Sal back all his information. We get away with not getting a ticket because the cop doesn't have time to like process this or write us paperwork or whatever. Yeah. And the cop just takes back off, and Sal's like, "Only me. This could only happen to me." And we're trying to not laugh.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because we think if we laugh, he's going to put the heat on us. So we're just like, yeah, like, at least we didn't get a ticket. So, like, we just keep driving. We ended up at a Bojangles, and we all just collectively had, like, a chuckle about it because he's, like I said, Sal's, like, a very intimidating guy. So it's just, but that was my favorite road story. Like, the guy just whipped off with, just took
That's ridiculous. Yeah. Like,
what do I even do? Or, like, I don't know. I'm scared.
Yeah, that's always the fun thing about Sal. Is like, were you around in Arizona?
No.
You weren't around in Arizona, because I remember. I think that's when I first met Tom, and like Caleb was trying to work his way on the Dragon Gate shows. Mm-hmm. I, of course, was of the impression that I'm not good enough to be on the Dragon Gate show, so I won't even try. So it was just kind of whatever. We brought the ring. We were selling merch. I think Caleb might have weaseled his way into not weaseled, but like earned his way onto like a fray or something.
We love Caleb.
Yes, like not weaseled, but like he earned that opportunity. He politicked his way into it.
Absolutely.
Somebody messed up and he was there, which was kind of where we were trying to do. But obviously his style fits more of what that is as opposed to what I do. So hence why I didn't think I was good enough. But to preface all that. And then we had somebody else with us, and basically we were just bringing the ring. It was at the Millennium Ballroom or whatever in Phoenix or whatever. It's where Louis C.K. recorded an album. Really nice place. And like it was like 3 shows all in this one place that weekend. And like the first night, like everybody's there, and we were kind of sitting around with everybody, hanging out with everybody, and people talking like, "Man, Sal is just so dry. He has no personality. He has nothing." And then like everybody's like, like every time we come around, like everybody would just be quiet and walk away from him and avoid him. Well, we ended up hanging out with Sal, I believe, like the first night, and like the next day, like, and we hung out all night. We just had like just a good time, and like he, really just kind of relaxed and had some fun. And then the next day, he came. We're all sitting around talking, and everybody's like, "Oh, Sal is just so," everybody's having that conversation, and then Sal walks by again, and everybody gets quiet, and all of a sudden Sal starts coming up, smiling, talking to me and Caleb, like, "Hey, when you guys left this happening, when you guys left this," I'm like, and everybody's just like looking at us like, "How the fuck do you know this guy that he acts this way around you?" Like
he's it's been the same. Like I've been, like, so as long as I've been there, I've seen everyone come through the doors, and everyone always has the same story where they're like, "Man, does he hate me?" I'm like, if he hated you wouldn't be on the show. Yeah. He's very focused, and he's obviously been super successful, but his personality is just very kept. He's to himself, does his own thing, which is perfectly fine. But like literally everyone has that same story. They're like, "I think he hates me." I was like, he doesn't hate you.
Well, we never had that impression. We just like, well, he's just not a very vocal person.
I remember the first ride that...
Plus, we brought the ring. Like, if you hate us, fuck you. You take the ring down whenever you want.
We'll take our ring back with us.
Like, you can have no show.
You can have a street fight show.
Whatever.
Caleb rode with us to one of the... I want to say the Midwest loop. It might have been like Chicago, Milwaukee or something. And I think it was the first time he had like been in the car with Sal. And it was so funny because he's like... like I said, at that point, Sal's doing his own thing, and you're kind of on his time. So if he's in if he's not talking, then he just don't. But when he is engaging, though, he's the funniest guy. He just doesn't even know it. So Caleb's like, we put Caleb in the passenger seat. We're like, okay, just sit up there, just go get over with Sal. Come on. And he's just like, oh god. So I'm texting Caleb from the back. I'm like, Sal's favorite movie is Kingpin, and Sal's from Cleveland, so he loves anything that's a Cleveland reference, and he loves Adele. I don't want to put him out there, but Sal loves Adele. So
that's okay. She's a wonderful musical artist.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so Sal's just like, oh no, like da 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 da, and Caleb like made some sort of mention about Kingpin, like he referenced like a soundbite or a clip from the movie, and Sal's like, I love that movie. I'm like, you're made. There you go. So it's always funny to see when new people come in because they've heard like I don't even know if Sal knows that there's like the legend of Sal, but it's so funny that. Because there's a super good person there. He's his own dude. And he just does his own thing.
To give context, Sal Hamoya, who runs
WWN
Live.
WWN Live, and he's
Shine. Like he's got a large contingent of pro wrestling.
So much stuff now.
Yeah,
so many
him and Gabe, and of course Lexi, and then
Absolutely.
of course Trevin with LIP and everything else. There's just like a lot of wrestling that's out there, especially like the streaming and everything that's out there today.
Sal was smart enough to get on that right before like iPay-per-view became a thing. I feel like a lot of people do it now, which is great because it's exposure for everybody, and that's the idea. But Sal was one of the first guys to catch on to that thing that like this is an avenue where like you obviously you're the editor. The stuff takes time.
Yep.
We can give it to people live for $9.99, and then the VOD is on your account forever. So like I think he was smart.
And and he's very good at finding those places and knowing what to do, because every time that we've had to do it at high spots, it's always a disaster.
Yeah.
Sal is very good at picking buildings like the Orpheum.
Obviously
that internet connection there works for him just about every time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With a high percentage. If we've tried to find a building like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they exist in the areas where we run shows.
Right.
We've always had a problem. Even buildings that have like some of the most professional, like the Cabarrus Arena, always did good for us.
Yeah.
And then we had the super dropout one day, and like we're never doing that again.
It's I love the Orpheum so much. It's just such a great venue. Like when you guys the last 2 nights we've done shows, you guys have found these amazing buildings. PWX draw is insane, but the crowd is like so into it, and so like as a performer is like that makes you work harder. Like I loved your match yesterday, by the way. I felt bad that we left like right after your match, but like the match you had yesterday was fantastic. Joey Ryan and Caleb and Zane was like thoroughly entertained, and I'm glad to see that like you're getting the focus, like you're the champ now, you're doing your thing after all this sort of stuff, because like you've been the workhorse forever. So it's always good to see people get something in return for putting in 26-hour days every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
well, I'm glad people like recognize that.
No, absolutely.
That was a big concern that people just wouldn't recognize that. So everybody kind of took a leap of faith that would work out.
You're running around until before the show. You're running around after the show. Even if people aren't necessarily like, you can't not notice that. Like up until the show, you're doing your thing.
That's the thing is, I feel like most people do, and I've always felt that way. And also too, like you talk about, like when you get to doing that, like people just know you as that and not as a performer.
Yeah,
that they can almost not connect those dots. You know what I'm saying? That's why like you tell young kids to do as much as you possibly can so you can get on a show. I tell kids the opposite. Like don't show them that you can do anything else other than wrestling, because know what you're going to do. You're going to get roped into doing that all the time, and they're not going to let you wrestle. Because that was the thing with Cedric. God bless him for being good as he is with wrestling, because he's not good at anything else. I love him very much.
Yeah.
Thank God he's going off in that opportunity, but likely he focused entirely all of his efforts on being good at professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Because he's not good at anything that I've ever got him to do.
I'm not good at being a human being, but
there are a lot of things that he was not good at. We gave him a lot of jobs at highspots.com, and he was not very good at any of them, except for when we booked him on a show to wrestle. He was fantastic at that. So
I remember at one point, I don't want to tell myself, but I had gotten hurt, but I was kind of like trying to not let people know. Like my left knee was being weird at the time, so like Sal had me doing music for a couple shows, and the WWN thing until the last 2 years has really been like, when Tom was there, it was me, Tom, Sal, Puente, and like maybe 2 other people. So like it'd be us, 500 chairs, the ring, the audio, I still do the lights. So you'd be in the building all day, which is perfectly fine because, like I said, it's worked out for everybody. Where WWN is blowing up, and I'm super busy and super grateful for that. But like, it's funny that there was a show, and I would usually just do ringside security, or I'd help run the locker room, or just come up with something to do because they knew I was hurt and they weren't going to let me go out there and perform. And he had me do music one show, and it's not like laptop point and click. It's like the mixer with the up and down, and nothing's labeled. And I've never seen this before. And it's like 7:30. Just figure it out. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So like, I think by the second match, I'd screwed up like one song. Like whoever won, I played the other guy's song because I hit like the wrong thing on the mixing board, and it went up. And then I got yelled at accordingly, and it was funny because like he's never asked me to do it since. So like I've become.
That's what happens. They never let you. You have to mess up, then you never do it again. Mess up, never do it, and then all of a sudden, when you do the thing you want to do, just do it right.
It was just
because that was my problem. Is I'm so good at everything that I just get put on all that, and then me being on a wrestling show is almost an afterthought.
Right.
That's like basically the story of it.
There's always been like, I remember the first couple times we were discussing. I think Friday we were trying to figure out the year that we first met, but you were coming down doing the Mr. Elite thing, and I think you came in like once or twice.
I did a Peterson Cup as a Mr. Elite. I think I was mostly been Man Scout when I come down.
I remember you in like plain trunks, like just black trunks maybe.
Oh, that was that
like a 3-way or something.
Yeah,
maybe?
Jack Manley, Pelly, Promo. Yeah, that's when I was just Jake Manning.
I feel like that was like the first time that I remember really talking to you, and then like you started developing the Man Scout thing. Like after that.
Sure, yeah. Like I went down on that trip that you're talking about with Davey Richards. Okay. I went down with Tony a bunch of times.
Right.
And brought the ring down there, but Tony never spoke up for me. I love him to death. Tony's
Canadian Cougar?
Yeah, I love Tony Casina, but he was more focused on himself.
Yeah.
And that's fine, and that's what he was supposed to do. Where like Davey Richards, like who I've always loved, really went to bat for me and put me on the shows. But at the same time, too, I didn't like. I felt weird. Like, am I supposed to get paid for this thing?
Yeah. It's that weird line.
Yeah, it's that weird line. Like, should I just be grateful to be on this show?
If I ask for money, are they never gonna bring me back?
Yeah, that's kind of so. I just like didn't even get in the pay line. Like, so I just like I didn't even like. I felt really weird about it because like. And also too, it was like last minute, like you're on the show, so I was like, oh, I don't want to negotiate a fee.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah,
sir.
exactly. I was like, thank you, and just thank you for the opportunity. And also too, it's like, well, if I don't ask for money, then I'll come down here all the time. Because at that time they had like,
triple two and double, like doing triple
and
shots.
But also too, it's like Briscoe Brothers, Roderick Strong, Davey Richards, Shingo was in, Bryan Danielson was on the card. Maybe Jamie Noble was on one of those nights. Like
he got Brian Kendrick in between like his stints where he would,
it was all Brian Kendrick was also there.
He would do shows and come back and
Cabana was on these shows and stuff like that. And then the shows before that had Punk on them before he went up there. So it was like oh god, this is where I need to be. You know what I'm saying? Like this is exactly where I need
FIP
to be.
was like there's so many like lost things that people have never seen because like at the time, it was like the sister company in Ring of Honor, so they were killing these matches. But like guys would go down there and do completely different characters. Like Bryan Danielson was doing like Memphis chicken shit heel stuff.
Oh yeah.
That like
I just converted a lot of that over because we had like the streaming rights for it. So I just put a lot of that up in the High Spots Wrestling Network and just going through all of that stuff and just like
so good.
Just the weird stuff to it, like like all kinds of stuff.
There was I can't remember the match, but there was an 8-man, and it was like Punk, Jimmy Rave, Sal Renaro, Cabana, 3 or 4 other people. But like these are guys that were having these hour-long matches on all these indies and killing it. And it was 8 guys enjoying themselves and having fun and being goofy. And the crowd tells, because I've always been
was it that 8-man where it was like DP Associates versus Cabana?
Yeah,
I was at that show with Tony.
They did a soccer spot where like somebody was in like like an inside cradle, a small package, and they did a thing where it was like, and everyone yelled goal. Yeah. And I'm like, that's pro wrestling. When you're having fun and you're with your friends, I feel like it translates well to the audience. Like PWG's blown up in the last couple of years. It's like, it's this monstrous, humongous thing. And I love that the fact that like, it's literally like the best athletes, the best wrestlers, but you can tell they're having fun and the crowd's eating it up. And my friends that work there that have told me that like, there's people that aren't even wrestling fans that go to this PWG thing. They don't really know what it is. But it's like they go away. So like I've always believed that like having fun was a thing. So when you start doing the Man Scout thing, and like I think I did most of your, because you have the Florida title.
Yes, the Florida Heritage
title. And I think I was in most of your matches, and it was so fun because like you had the
all 5 of them, and 2 of them were in the Peterson Cup, and I lost them.
Weren't you the champ for like 3 years?
Yes, I was. I was the champ for like a ridiculous amount of time.
Longest reigning champ, shortest.
That's why when I wrestled Luha Nason to drop it, I was like, obviously I was like. They wanted me to do like, put on a good 5-10 minute match. I'm like, no, this needs to be Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
And I need to talk about how, like, my promo before the match should be longer than the match.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Like that's the thing. Because everybody knows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no.
And your character is so versatile because it has like the comedic thing to it. Is like you could do something like that and it doesn't hurt you at all.
Yeah, exactly.
You can come back the next day and still be like
the big heel for wrestle for 20 minutes and it's viable that I might win.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm Teflon, and that's what the under for life stuff was all about too. Is the idea like they put me under, I didn't put myself under.
Those are some of the best statuses I've ever seen. Like I'm just like a social media guy. I'm terrible at tweeting and Facebook, but I'm always reading stuff. So you would post things that would just pop me, and I'm like, I haven't spoken to Jake in like 2 months. I'm gonna like this and be like, hey man. So yeah, those like I loved it because when you had gotten the belt, like well, two small things because I forget a lot. Davey was the first person that really push for me to be on like the main show when FIP started using me. I do the pre-show and like maybe something in the middle, but Davey's like, you're never going to learn unless you get out there. Like this is wrestling. You go out there and take, like, if you want something, take it. If someone has a problem with it, you know, whatever.
Yeah. And I love Davey, you know what I'm saying? And people give him a lot, criticize him a lot, but like he was a good person. He really looked out for some people.
Absolutely. Sure. And he was like, there was an instance in the locker room once where like something had happened in a match and there was like friction was on me. And Davey came to my defense and like didn't have to. And I honestly never forgot that because he kind of went away for a while. But when he came back and did Evolve a few times, I'm like, I don't even know if you remember this, but like, I think you saved my life like 9 years ago. He's like, hell yeah, man. Like you're a good kid. You're just trying to learn. And like little things like that mean the world, you know, because wrestling can be like a selfish thing, but you're going to find those people that are like overly gracious to you. And at the time he was doing amazing things in Ring of Honor and he's still doing his thing. And he's honestly one of the best. But, like, you know, you always assume, like, guys like that don't have to go out of their way. Like, Daniel Bryan was always super nice to me. Guys like that. Like I said earlier about being gracious, about guys being nice. It's like, you know, it's now that I'm in a position where I feel like I can help younger guys or have suggestions. People, I'm always weird about, like, I need to watch what I did. But I'm still always going to, like, I should have done that or I didn't do this or I was too loud to whatever. But, like, the ability to help people and bring people along is such an amazing thing. Because you see these minds, like I wish people had helped me then, like earlier on, like the kid I was helping with Alex, but like it's just cool to be able to give back, I guess. Like you guys are always, Caleb taught me a lot. You were always super cool with talking to me because I'd have a million stupid questions. And I'm like, I know I'm bothering you, but I have this question. Like when you give me the book, can I like entertain it with my face? But then I go over here and then like the log thing was so funny. But like just thank you guys for always being so good to me because I think it helps. You know, we need to all help each other grow as performers because it's a big group thing we're doing. So I always love that I got to do your matches and that I knew it was going to be fun. And it was one of the first couple times I like had fun where I could be like, I can be loose and just goof around with this guy because it's not going to matter as opposed to being like, I'm super serious and I'm going to do this wrestling thing. So it's, I always appreciated that because like I said, I put you guys on a pedestal because like I knew Caleb had done stuff and I always appreciated when people were nice to me because I think referees are kind of like, not disposable, but I feel like sometimes they don't necessarily get the right amount of respect or attention in locker rooms. I
absolutely, totally agree. And that's why when, like, you asked about, we were talking about doing this and, you know, we were talking about this. I'm like, of course I want to talk to you because like, I don't think that this is a dynamic or a conversation that people have about referees and how important they are.
Yeah.
You know, and like you were definitely a large part of what I do. You know what I'm saying? Especially like as character driven as I am, I need someone like you to do that.
I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot too because like I said, I've seen enough referees get treated like crap and it's like, don't get discouraged. Because the kid Alex I'm helping now, he gets mad because he's like, it seems so easy for you out there. I'm like, dude, I was terrible forever. And the moment that like you snap or something goes off in your head, I'm like, I'm just gonna have fun. And it's like the most amazing thing. And Rachel Ellering and Kennedy Brink had this amazing match on Friday. And I think I'd worked with Rachel like one other time, but she's only been in 9 months and she's amazing. Like, she has instincts like beyond her years. And we rode together and she was like, I just want to thank you for being out there because she had tweaked her shoulder and it was obvious, but like I checked on her every chance I could. And she's like, you have no idea how many referees just like check on you once and leave you laying there. Because like, you know, wrestling's this great performance art, but like to a lesser extent, like enough people get seriously injured out there. And it might not even be something, she just took like a weird fall. But like, you know, you need to protect the guys out there. Like I'm a big MMA guy and those referees are like in on like real serious, like checking on injuries and stuff. But like, I think people don't get, like I get a lot of praise, but I think it's just like, looking out for your fellow people in the ring, like with your comedy stuff. What can I do to help you? I don't think enough.
How can we maximize this laugh, and how can we?
Yeah.
And also too, it's a little thing that I try to impart on students. It's a little in the body languages, the things that you don't even think are that important because you're all worried about the hip toss, the tackle, the drop down. Like, you remember what step C is, but you gotta train yourself on the little things and like how I'm standing.
Yeah.
What am I communicating? And it's the little subtext that even the fans don't even realize what's going on. If she's tweaking her shoulder and it's like we got to get this over as like a big shoulder injury. If you're coming in and checking in on her 3 times, the crowd will pick up on how important that is.
Yeah.
If you check on her once and then walk away, they won't see the type of, it won't have that same levity to it.
Yeah.
And and you are smart enough to recognize that and do that, where a lot of referees aren't, where that's the important, and that's what brings those things up. And that's where really it becomes like a 3-way dance of everybody.
Yeah.
Is you have to communicate that as well.
Jonathan Cruz, the Los Pendejos Team Lucha, he was when I started, he had just moved to Florida, but he was one of the first guys that like made me feel like I could have a position in a match as opposed to just stay in the back, like stay in the corner in the finish and whatever. But I always give him credit because he kind of gave me the confidence to be able to like feel like there's 3 of us doing something. This is a thing that we're doing. So like when people don't work with referees, it's frustrating, but everyone has to do their own thing. But yeah, it's luckily enough people have given me credit for being easy to work with as far as little stuff like that. But we were talking earlier about the camera angles. Is like I've adopted this weird thing where like I try to watch what we're doing, like from a distance. If I'm the guy watching this looks like this is like that. So I don't know what the term is, but like the sort of perception that I think people should take is like, we're all wrestling fans. If you're watching this and the hard camera's right here and you're watching the back of the referee's head, it's clearly annoying. So you shouldn't be standing there.
Yeah, which is smart, and I don't think a lot of fans do, is like you have to take in consideration who's watching this and what they're thinking at the time. And that's very important on the card. Like, where are they at right now? Have they seen 5 matches and they've all done this? What do we now need to do for here? You know what I'm saying? That's something that I've always very big on. Like, where is the crowd going to be when I come out there, and how do I need to be different and differentiate myself? And then also too, with like, if this is going to video, what do I need to do to put myself out there? Maybe like, let's do it. Like now it's like an important thing of like, what spot can I do that could turn into a GIF later on?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like how, what am I doing right here? And where are the cameras going to be when I do that? So that way it maximizes how that's going to look on the back end.
Absolutely.
It's those little things of like, what are the fans going to think when they see this? Not a lot of people are just like, I just want to do this cool stuff. Where I think you need to now think about like, okay, where are they going to be? How are they going to see this? And what platform now are they going to see this on?
The PWX show yesterday, I was lucky enough to hang around and watch it. It was like the timing and the positioning of matches were so good. There'd be like a really spotty super indie thing, 10 guys doing 10,000 flips, and then like, boom, we'll have this like, low to the ground match where guys are just working, because you got to like give the crowd kind of like this.
There you go.
I've always been weird about placement on shows. Is like, guys, I think people just kind of like hodgepodge throw things on shows, but like you need to, you're taking these fans on a ride. You can't give them like 5 matches where they're going to yell and scream, because then they're all like, you either kill their enthusiasm or you tire them out or something, where like if you can space things out, because like it was the Queens of Combat show, there was a 4-way where like they hit every move in the world and everyone hit 450s and all this sort of thing. And then like Nicole Savoy and Kennedy had like a submission match right after. So you have the crowd here and you kind of like get them back down here, and like, but you're not losing them. That's just you're
into it.
Yeah, you're giving them another.
Like that's what I felt too. Like, and I was a little worried how the girls felt about that match. Like I hope they feel good about it.
Yeah.
But like, I could see how they'd be, I don't think they're really into it because they were quiet. No, they're quiet because they're watching. Because anytime they got to something, they were into.
It's just it's another psychology. And I feel like the audience that was at the show yesterday are the kinds that like watch everything, like a smarter crowd. So I feel like even if they don't know that they get it, they get it. Like how do I put that? Like, they know they want to see something different, even if like psychology wise they don't get it. Like wrestling's like the cool thing like that. But yeah, that match was so much fun, and it was so good that the placement was so good. Like I said, because the 4-way.
So I was worried that the placement was wrong, but the more I think about it more, I think it was okay.
You kind of bring them back down just to get them back up.
I felt like that needed to happen. But like I said, it's a tough thing with the submission match. They played the gimmick. They did what they were supposed to, and we probably should have been more conscious of that. But at the same time too, they did do a lot of stuff, and I was wondering like, would that ramp up into the main event or not?
Right.
But at the same time too, the fact that I was like, I much like the girls probably like, oh, I don't know if they liked it or not. But at the same time too, anytime they did something, they got into it. They just weren't like, yeah the whole time, because there wasn't a lot of bumps to it, because they're going for submissions, because it's a submission match.
Yes.
They were actually smart with it. So, but I feel like, especially like on like the DVD end of it and the back end of the stuff, I think people will really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I think some of the Southern people might have got a little antsy because it's always bump because it's a different style here. But if that match was done in the Northeast, I think people would have got into the small nuance of the wrestling that was going on. So I think in the long term, it was the better decision. I think at the time, I don't know if we could have done this, but like I still think it was exactly what needed to happen.
It was the right two girls too.
Yes, it was.
Like they're both super good at feeling the crowd and knowing what's up and like giving them. They did some stuff on the outside when it was kind of down, just to get people, like if the one person wants to see someone get thrown into the ring post or whatever, you get them up for a second. We got their attention. Let's keep them on this thing, and then right back into like.
Well, that was the thing too. Is anytime they did like a chop or a strike, that got a huge reaction. So obviously I was like, okay, they're listening. They're paying attention. That's always the thing that I was always wondering too. And they did those at appropriate times.
Yeah, they're both so smart.
So that's what's made me feel better about it. I'm like, okay, they're watching. It's like when I had the match with Cedric. Yeah. And I got attacked earlier, and I'm already bloody and stuff like that. And then he starts just waylaying at me. And I remember him saying something to me. He was like, why are they so quiet? And I go, because they're scared.
Yeah,
like that's where they in that, and when you can do that, we get people to pay attention that much that they're quiet. Yeah, sometimes that's the best thing.
It's like we put over the Orpheum earlier. It's like it's a very smart crowd, and it was Tommy Taylor and Jonathan Gresham had a match, and they took 2 bumps, and they were on the mat for 20 minutes just doing holds, and the crowd sat there on their hands, not like bored, just like that cool Japanese heat where they're just watching, focusing.
Because you have to, because it's all right there.
Yeah, and I remember being in that match, and I actually just got goosebumps talking about it. Like, they had the whole crowd for 25 minutes. They took 2 falls. Like, that's the art of pro wrestling to me, is like, if you can, like, that crowd that wants to see flips and 450s and tables and all the other stuff that happens in the Orpheum, and like, they just gave them pure pro wrestling. And it was like the best thing. So I think I said earlier, it's a variety show. I think wrestling should be different. So I love that you guys were smart enough to place that match on the card there yesterday, because I felt like they made it appreciate it more when they finally got into it, because it was different from the previous. And then the main event was just insane. Sue doing a million.
It needed that break in there anyways, and that was the one that had the most credibility to be there. So I feel like in the long term it was the best decision. I did question it a little bit, but I think looking back, and even as we discussed today, it was definitely probably the best decision, because that's what I do. I nitpick things and stuff like that. And the thing is, the person that put that together was Sojo. That was Josie's idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to give her all the credit. Like, literally, I just look at the card for like 5 minutes and make small tweaks to it, but it's her who wrote it down on a blank piece of paper. So I can't, we could say, oh, I did this and this. I'm merely being Monday morning quarterback when I talk about all this, because all I'm doing is just making the small little tweaks.
Right. Yeah. So. But it was, I think it's been I think this whole weekend's been a great success. I can't wait for these VODs and DVDs to come out, because I think Queens of Combat's like an amazing product. I'm usually pretty bad about like watching shows after. I watch my stuff just to critique myself, and like we just said, I think that's like an artistic flaw, where people that are creative are like, oh, I should have done this, because like I feel like you're hard on yourself sometimes, but like it's the same thing though, because I think that's a passion too. Is like you want to get better all the time, but I just love this product. It's just like a harmless, good, fun product. They have like the best girls from everywhere. You guys are smart enough to bring in people from everywhere, which is good, because like you get fans from different like corners of the country, where maybe someone's from the Midwest, but the show's in North Carolina, but they'll buy the DVD or appreciate the wrestling because they know this person from their local area. And there's so many young girls coming up now. Like, it's such a great time to be a girl in wrestling, I think.
Yeah, as I was just talking about, it's the best time. It's the best time to be a young pro wrestler all in general. But anyways, before we get out of here,
sir,
we're running a little short on time. We're actually right at the hour mark.
Oh, we got this.
But this is the last question. I bring people in here all the time. All walks of life, brewers, restaurateurs, wrestlers, comedians, politicians, whoever. And I get you warmed up just to ask this one question, and it is about the topic of success. What is it to you? Do you have it clearly defined? Do you think it can be defined? Does it have a dollar amount attached to it? Is there even a way for you to achieve that? Do you feel like you're close to it? Do you feel like you've already achieved it? When I say the word success, what does that mean to you?
Sitting here right now, the last year or two, I've felt appreciated by my peers, which to me is like the most amazing thing, because like it's like respect is like a really big thing and everything. But I think obviously everyone wants to get signed and get the paycheck and that's fantastic. But I think if you can like have the respect of your peers and give that back and live your life as like a good person, I think that's pretty important too. I don't know if that's a good answer or not. But like I said, I've felt overly respected the last couple of years. And to me, that was a big deal because like we talked earlier about the stigma about referees is like, I feel like I'm treated as an equal. And that might sound weird. I'm not being sad or emo or anything, but like I legit, if I can walk in a locker room and feel like I can sit down and be comfortable and belong, I think that's success, maybe. So I don't know. I guess that's my answer.
Okay. Well, you have a live microphone right now. Please let everyone know how they can contact with you, book you on a show, follow you on social media, all that stuff.
I have Twitter. It's WWN_Gastineau, Gastineau. I did pick the longest last name ever.
I know you have like a really easy like real name, but Gastineau. Like,
you know what it was? It was like when I first started, I wanted to wrestle. I'm like, man, even if I suck, if I have a really long name, it might stick in someone's brain. And 11 years later, I'm just kind of stuck with it. But such is life. Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. I have my email is Frank Gastineau, FrankGastineau @Yahoo. I'm really good about that. I'm always on my phone, so I'm always checking emails. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter. Follow me back. I do love Twitter.
All right. Well, Frankie, thank you very much for sitting down.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely. This is honestly my pleasure.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.